ABC News with Anna Pikett. Greater Brisbane's 3-day COVID lockdown will lift tonight, but masks will remain mandatory in crowded places. Lily Nuthling reports.
The strict stay-at-home order imposed on Friday night will end at 6 p.m. after Queensland recorded another day with no locally acquired COVID cases. The lockdown was triggered by a hotel cleaner infected with the highly contagious UK strain of the virus. For the next 10 days, residents will still be required to wear a mask in workplaces that can't socially distance, public transport and indoor spaces like shopping centres and gyms. Gatherings will be capped at 20 people, 100 people can attend weddings and funerals, and venues must enforce capacity limits.
New South Wales has recorded 3 new locally acquired coronavirus cases in the 24 hours to 8 p.m. last night. It comes as a Western Sydney hospital emergency department reopens after undergoing deep cleaning after a case was diagnosed there overnight. More from Tim Swanston.
The Mount Druitt emergency department was closed last night for an urgent deep clean after a man who presented there on Saturday with coronavirus symptoms tested positive overnight. A household contact of his has since also tested positive. Chief Health Officer Dr Kerry Chant says an investigation is underway into where the man contracted the infection.
We are doing all we can to do rapid genome testing to understand where this virus sits in terms of its lineage.
More than 18,500 people were tested in the latest reporting period, and 3 locally acquired cases were recorded, all linked to the existing Baralla cluster.
The New South Wales Premier has taken another swipe at the Victorian government over its handling of the border closure. The Victorian Health Minister, Martin Foley, has said officials in New South Wales should not have been surprised by the border ban announced before Christmas because he'd been having daily discussions with them. Gladys Berejiklian says all state leaders can do better when it comes to managing border closures.
As the Premier of this state, I would love to have been able to have an input to say, rather than closing off all of New South Wales or all of Sydney from a particular state, please just consider the northern beaches or give us 24 hours to get back to you on how we can manage this.
Meanwhile, Victoria has recorded no new locally acquired coronavirus cases for the 5th day in a row. However, there is 1 new infection in hotel quarantine. There have now been more than 90 million cases of COVID-19 recorded around the world. The last 10 million cases have been recorded in just 2.5 weeks. The United States has the world's largest outbreak with more than 22 million cases, followed by India and Brazil. More than 1.9 million people have died from the disease. An independent state MP in Tasmania says he makes no apologies for trying to raise the legal smoking age to 21. Ivan Dean says too many young people are smoking and everything must be done to drive down the number of people taking up the habit. Mr Dean says the rate of smoking in Tasmania is above the national average.
We've got currently about 17.6% of adults smoking in Tasmania. The national average is 15%, so we're well above that if you look at numbers. But then in the 18 to 24-year age group, we've got 22.6% are smokers.
Senior federal politicians are raising concerns about social media companies banning US President Donald Trump from Twitter and Facebook. The decision was made after the US Capitol was stormed by violent protesters last week. But the move has sparked debate in Australia about whether social media companies should be able to suspend accounts. Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg says he doesn't agree with the move.
I felt pretty uncomfortable with those measures that were announced. Freedom of speech is fundamental to our society. As Voltaire said, I might not agree with what you say, but I defend the right to say it.
Staying in the United States, Democrats in the US House of Representatives have released their plan of attack to remove President Trump from office following last week's deadly Capitol riot by his supporters. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says the first step will be a resolution calling on Vice President Mike Pence to meet with the cabinet and invoke the 25th Amendment to the Constitution. That allows for the removal of the president. If that fails, Democrats then plan to bring impeachment proceedings. More than 200 House Democrats and 1 Republican have already said they support impeachment, while 2 Senate Republicans are also backing the move. ABC News.